good evening or good night. I guess is probably good night at this point, considering it's 11:15 my time. But today we have a playoffs round 1 of the Little Cup against Mono of the Wedgehurst Whimsicotts. So originally I was looking at this team when I first took a glance at it like a week ago, or whenever the playoff matchups came out. And I was like, oh, look at these speed stats. Oh, so easy. Oh my god, how'd this team make it into playoffs? And then I looked more into each individual Mon, and to my horror, I realized how terrifying this team really is. I mean, Clam Pearl has got some nutty stuff between items, its ability and how much damage it can deal, or how tanky you want it to be. You got the Hippopotamus Drillbur with Sandstream into Sand Rush, which is terrifying. Pichu, which apparently gets Follow Me. Hello? Which is a Japan 2005 Gen 3 exclusive. Who would have guessed? And then, you have Shroomish, who can spread Spore everywhere. Litwick with surprising bulk. And then pretty good stabs on both Ghost and Fire, and can run Trick Room. And then Starly, who does big damage and is Tailwind. And then the team is just not. It's got. Oh man! And mind you, when I saw the speed stats in the team, I was just like, I'm not too worried. I feel like I can take him. That was me like glancing at my phone just to see like what I was up against. I wasn't in any of the planning stages at all, so it was just a cursory glance, and it was a very foolish one at that. Because this team is going to be an absolute nightmare. We've seen how both in this league and the non-Dynamax league, how I kind of get shredded by Trick Room. And what I didn't take into account looking at these speed stats is Trick Room looks so juicy on this team versus my average speed is significantly higher overall. Like Drillbur is the fastest one on the team with 68. And then I have 3 Mons actually that outspeed it just naturally, and then the rest of the team has like 260 speed stats, and then the rest is like 45 and below, whereas most of my team falls at like 60 or higher. So gonna be brutal. So I gotta hope that the strats that I put together can help me mitigate Trick Room as being an issue. I usually run like full speed or max speed on a lot of my Mons. This week I did not run it on all of them, probably like half, I would say. I'll go over that later, but I can challenge. I completely lost my train of thought. Trying to get this thing rolling. Yeah, I'll go into specifics afterwards in terms of what my strat was. I toggled with a few specific ideas on my team on how to handle both the Tailwind and Trick Room options. And some of the ideas were more inclusive of dealing with a bunch of different leads, but there are so many like extremely dangerous leads that can pop out here that I had to find the absolute best one to handle any of them. So okay, so I'm gonna do the challenge in here. So let me get my spreadsheet out. Let's see, we want this. Find a user. All right. Playoff 1, that's the one. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am both amped and nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous, because I've been taking quite a few L's in the non-Dynamax season. I'm 2-4, so which isn't bad. I'm not going to say that's bad. You know, one game specifically, there was a lot of RNG, could have gone either way, but that's Pokemon in a nutshell. So I try not to let myself get bogged down with losses and whatnot, because like anyone else, I do want to win, but also like everyone else, I'm not always going to win. So I try to keep it in perspective. But considering that I was able to make it into playoffs with this team, I'm really hoping that I can at least give it a good showing. I'd rather not get steamrolled if possible. It might happen. I don't know. We'll see. This team is, if there's a team that's gonna do it to me, it's gonna be this one. At least from the teams that I've looked at so far that made it to playoffs, I'm sure they're all horrifying. But this one, yeah, is gonna be a special one, just with all the modes that they have. Yeah, okay, so this is Totodile is actually kind of surprising here. I really didn't want to see Shroomish either, if I'm being totally honest. Cancel. Let's do this again. Yep, still on. Yeah, I didn't want to see Shroomish just because. You know, it can just spore everything, and I do have safety goggles on my Tentacool, but like Tentacool doesn't have the greatest offense, and I was really hoping not to have to bring Tentacool in at all, just because he's good in very certain situations, but in a lot of situations, especially against this team, you know, being a water type with a ground weakness kind of sucks. But the poison type can come in clutch, specifically against Shroomish, just because, you know, its grass stab is going to be neutral instead of super effective. So I'm really hoping that you know, that by itself can be a good counter. I have Ice Beam on it, so I can 2-hit KO it. But spreading Spore all over the place is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So we'll have to see how often it's brought out. It could just be a bait. But I do think it would be fairly scary into this team. Granted, I also think Starly with Tailwind is scary, and then also Litwick with Trickling is scary. So, and then obviously, like I said before, I'm like drawing a blank on the. Oh, Clamperl. Yeah, Clamperl's got some nasty stuff that it can work, so. Okay. 2, 1, 3. Good luck, have fun. Yeah. I'm ready to rumble. Let's do this. Cool. Good luck, have fun to you, Mono. This is going to be, hopefully, a fantastic playoffs round 1 set. And whatever happens, happens. Okay. Totodile is surprising to me here. I'm wondering if it's... for a split second was thinking Aqua Jet weakness policy, but I don't think that's gonna be... I don't think that's probably it. I am not sure why Totodile is here. I guess Sheer Force is pretty scary. Along with, you know, Water, Dark Stab, you could run like Crunch. So it could also be Banded Aqua Jet too, which is pretty scary. But who do I think they're gonna lead here? Clamperl lead would be scary. Starly lead would be scary. Anything except Shroomish, I would prefer. I don't want to deal with Shroomish. But I did have Meditite Ghastly as the lead that I wanted to start with to see how things go. In back, Anorith's kind of spooky just because. I mean, it takes out Shroomish with one hit with X-Scissor, but that's assuming I can outspeed it. Tentacool in back for Shroomish is kind of nice, also for dealing with these two. So maybe I bring Tentacool in back, as long as I can deal with Pichu. Although Anorith hits like a truck too. Anorith, whatever I want to say. Houndour is not amazing into this, aside from this. I kind of want to bring these two. I definitely want this. Houndour with Stab, Sucker Punch is nice. Let's do Houndour. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Okay, so this is probably Trick Room. and also fake out, I would imagine. So I'm gonna get faked out here, which is fine. I am going to, it could also be follow me, or ally switch. Ally switch would be weird though. I'm expecting Trick Room to come out of this. I want to Psycho Cut into this slot and also Shadow Ball into this slot, assuming that it pulls it in with follow me. Protect, interesting. Double protect. Is it not running fake out? That would be very interesting. It could also be, he's probably, you know what, because Menatite max speed would tie with Pichu for fake out, so probably didn't want to test the fake out move there. Which makes sense. And me not showing that I'm using it is also interesting. Doubling into this, so this probably just, yes, okay. This thing's probably max speed, I would imagine, maybe. Psycho Cut into this slot. This is probably follow me, right? What if I trick them first? I'm gonna Shadow Ball just to see what they do. Follow me, yep. I'd like to take care of this thing, which I do, perfect. Trick Room gets set up, that's fine. Okay, I was hoping that, because they could just spread move me here, which is really bad. And I have Protect on neither of these monsters. Do I take, okay, so this is probably gonna be Deep Sea Tooth with like Muddy Water, I would imagine, just for big damage. And then this is probably Heat Wave, huh? If I switch Houndour in, it dies. Man, double spread is so bad here. So bad. If I double switch, bring Ghastly back in the following turn, because I think I just super die here, right? There's no way I underspeed. I'm gonna swap in Houndour and I'm gonna trick him. I'm gonna reveal it if I get it off. Awesome. Scald. Interesting. I'm gonna bring Anorith in here. I just Rock Slide all day. I should theoretically outspeed all these. 12, 13, I'm 14, yep, okay. Who is gonna protect here? Do I think this thing is the Trick Room setter? Do I think it's gonna protect? I don't know what they think I do here. It definitely lives. Rock Slide into Litwick. Does not KO. Okay. I could Energy Ball into this thing, because I don't really care much about Litwick, huh? Cool. Energy Ball. Beautiful. Rock Slide, hit please. Thank you. Okay. Alright, my positioning's not bad. Force him to protect. Totodile comes out here. Could be Aqua Jet into Anorith here. I did not calc for Sheer Force. I am Eviolite, so I would hope that I take it, but I also have... I honestly think I just go for Rock Slide Shadow Ball here. Project double... Yeah, you gotta go for the double there. Understandable. Big damage. Scissor, and Shadow Ball. Wow, that thing's tanky. What? Is that Eviolite? Holy crap. That thing just tanked 41%. That's either bulkier than I thought, or that's like a Soul Fest. Upload. Spam. Okay, cool. Oh, thank God. I didn't forget. I didn't forget. Oh. Alright, okay. Alright. I made sure to upload. Okay. Alright, what do I think is going to happen in this game? What did it do turn 1? Shadow Ball and Scald. Interesting. So maybe it's not running Muddy Water. I honestly still like the Ghastly Meditite lead. Aerith is clutch. Do I think Shroomish comes out here? Tentacle's good into Shroomish. And, well, with Sheer Force, actually not so great, dude. I'm gonna bring Houndour again. I'm bringing the same 4. And we'll see what happens. I could get hard punished here. Okay. This could just be Follow Me Trick Room again. Or it could be baiting my own Trick Room turn 1. How do I want to handle this? Shadow Ball. This could be a double protect, but I doubt it. It could also just be Fake Out. Fakes me out, gets Trick Room up. If it fakes me out, this has to eat a Shadow Ball and die, and it's not Scarf, or Sash. So Shadow Ball into this. I just Psycho Kit into that slot every day. I guess it could protect and then try to deal damage with this, with like a Para or something. I hate splitting my damage here, but just in case Follow Me doesn't come out, okay. Yeah. Psycho Cut. So this is slow Pichu. Nuzzle. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. That is very much what I was afraid of. 9 speed. 6. 9. I'd be a speed tie with Pichu if it gets Trick Room up, huh? Although it could just attack into me here. I do think Trick Room is going up, which means this can attack into this slot. If I just Shadow Ball into this, can I do anything against the Psycho Cut kill here? Probably not, huh? This can just spread Nuzzle all over my team too. That's pretty gross. Yeah, Ghastly destroyed him game 1. Just because he didn't deal with it immediately. But now, yeah, I should have been predicting the Nuzzle there. That's pretty rough. I just do this. Protect, yep. It probably attacks into Ghastly. Yeah, that's well played, that's well played. That means it's also not min speed either, because it outsped my Ghastly. This thing can get to 6. Interesting, interesting. But Trick Room is still not up, which I'm fine with, right? So Meditite outspeeds both of them at 13. So this definitely will. I rock slide here all day, baby. Who is in back? Does anything want to take a psycho cut? Not really, dude. Okay, okay. Let's see how this pans out. Follow me, okay, that's fine. Perfect. Psycho cut comes out, okay. Plant ball comes out, and this could be Aqua Jet. Although it only showed Waterfall game 1. Yeah. Houndour and back to this thing. Houndour doesn't want to be in against either of these. I should outspeed both, assuming this isn't max speed. I was faster. Okay, so I'm just gonna rock slide again. And in case it Aqua Jets into this slot, which it may not, I think Drain Punch is my best answer. I gotta deal with this big damage dealer over here. Or do I? Scald, Waterfall. I honestly don't know who I'm more worried about. I think this is more tanky. This could also just be Assault Vest. I'm attacking this. Protect, yeah, okay. Yep. It based on the special damage I did to it, it looked like Assault Vest. So I wanted to attack into that, assuming it wouldn't protect. X Scissor, Drain Punch here. Big damage, yeah. Oh, GG, brother, GG. Alright, let me upload this before I forget. Because I'm gonna forget, like I do every time. Upload, okay. Alright. GG, brother, GG. That was absolutely horrifying. I think Anorith is, well, I mean, I would say Anorith is the MVP, but I think, you know, the combination of the 4 that I brought were very strong and tough to deal with. Your team was a nightmare to plan for, by the way. Absolute nightmare. Like my Excel spreadsheet that I have for your team is bonkers. I have like notes all over the place. I had calculated max speed stats for virtually all of your mons, inside and outside Trick Room. Well, sorry, depending on like, you know, double speeds or Shroomish with like, what the heck is its ability? The Quick Feet. Like, I had to calculate all those speeds. I had to make sure I was prepared. I also didn't run max speed on Metatite, and Anorith I also didn't run max speed. I ran bulk on both, just to make sure in or outside Trick Room I could take a hit, this being Eviolite, this being Assault Vest, just because I was terrified of the massive damage that your team could do on top of having speed control, which was just a nightmare. But when I was looking into the team, I realized that Metatite Ghastly is an extremely oppressive lead, and the only lead that I've ever done so far in this little cup is Riolu and like Ghastly, mainly just to dodge fake out issues, or like Riolu Metatite. So I brought Riolu this week as a potential just in case if I didn't see fake out on like, well, Pichu. If I didn't see Pichu, I probably would have let it and then just started coaching up Anorith, but I decided against it, only because I was gonna run Inner Focus, but I decided not to. I ran Prankster this week, mainly because I didn't plan on leading it, and I had thought about potentially bringing it in back, but I had a feeling that the lead between Metatite and Ghastly would be extremely oppressive, and then Anorith in back with Stab Rock Slide on top of a pretty solid attack set, and Eviolite could just clean up. So, and then Pure Power on this thing is stupid. So, yeah. So this was Mono's team here, which is like when you dig into the weeds here of this team, it's bonkers. I mean, Clamperl has you know, not so great HP, but fantastic defense and pretty solid special defense. It gets what is it? Shell armor, so you can't crit it. But more interestingly, it gets rattled, which any Ghost Dark or Bug move that hits it raises its speed, which is an interesting little facet of speed increases you can do there. Like if you switch into a dark bug or ghost move, you can instantly buff your speed, especially since it's tanky. And then it can be even more tanky if you run Deep Sea Scale, which doubles its special defense, or if you want to run Deep Sea Tooth, which doubles its special attack and deals absolutely insane damage. I was running calcs for this thing, and it like just destroyed everything on my team. Outside of, I'm pretty sure, who was it? Menatite, Assault Vest, Menatite, I believe tanks a hit. But outside that, unless I put up Sun with Riolu, which I did not run, this thing just washed me. So the main thing I had to worry about with Clamp Roll was making sure I had speed control to deal with it. And then Hippopotas and Drillbur are a duo that I would only expect to come together. So bringing 2 slots for this was kind of spooky. It would have been a pretty scary lead, but I feel like it's just an easy like fake out in a Drillbur, and then Hippopotas is slow. And then especially like having Tentacool and Finneon on my team, I can just like Muddy Water or Scald or whatever, and just start going to town. So these two would have been an interesting lead, but I think not bringing it was probably the right move, just because I have a lot of answers into it. And then like Ghastly has Levitate, so it's like, I don't know, what are you going to do? So not seeing these two wasn't too surprising. I still had to plan for it just in case, but having a slot for specifically these two, I wasn't expecting. And then Pichu I was absolutely expecting, because Follow Me busted, as we see with my own Riolu that I've run. I always have Follow Me on Riolu every time. I have not had a set of Riolu that I haven't brought that hasn't had Follow Me on it, and he's been in my 6 every week. So that just goes to show you that move broken is busted. So and honestly, like when I was looking at the team sheets on this Draft League site, I didn't even know Pichu ever got Follow Me. So had I not referenced the sheet, I would have never planned for it, which is insane. So the fact that it was just one specific Japan exclusive for Gen 3 way back in 2005 is bonkers. But a really cool fact that I didn't know. So, but yeah, this thing was scary. You could run Vault Tackle, you could run a physical, or you could run a special with like Thunderbolt. I don't even know if it gets Eerie Impulse. If it gets Eerie Impulse, that's also horrifying to just start dropping special attack. I don't necessarily know that stat drops in this format are as good as normal formats. Outside speed control, I haven't really seen too much like attack and special attack drop. I've mostly just seen like Icy Wind or like Trick Room and Tailwind for like increasing, decreasing speed and stuff like that, or like Rock Tomb, stuff like that. So, I think this thing probably gets Charm as well, just because it's a baby Pokemon, and then if it also gets Eerie Impulse, like you have those 2 options there. But again, we haven't really seen, at least I haven't seen matches that utilize any like offensive dropping stats. Maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention, but I personally haven't seen it. So I was mostly worried about Nuzzle, which came out Game 2 into Ghastly, which was a great adaptation, and one that I did think of, but felt like I really couldn't do much around it just based on the Litwick Pichu lead, which is also a very strong lead. I think me running Trick Room on Ghastly was very smart and saved me, Game 1 specifically, because otherwise I would have just gotten overrun. But Pichu gets a lot of great support moves. It has Lightning Rod, so like I was also scared of Clamp Roll Pichu. Even though I had Energy Ball on Ghastly, I originally had Thunderbolt on it just to deal with Clamp Roll, and then also Starly, because Energy Ball does not cover for Starly. But then I realized Lightning Rod. I'm like, okay, well Ghastly cannot be the one to deal with Starly. Thankfully, Starly was not led. I did run Ice Punch on Menatite to handle it, but I was still worried about Tailwind getting set up and then just getting overrun, because this team is at such like a weird speed tier where in Tailwind it's just going to outspeed everything on my team, and then in Trick Room, it's going to underspeed everything on my team. So I had to be prepared for both modes of speed control, otherwise I was going to get just dunked on. And Litwick also has insane defensive stats for what I would normally think as its final evolution, Chandelure, not really being that bulky. This thing has like 50, 55, 55 in its HP defense, special defense stats, which in this format is pretty good. Pretty good, I would say, just across the board. So you can make it as physically or as especially bulky as you want, depending on what team you're going against. Which is also why I wanted to lead Ghastly Metatype, because it covers for both the special and physical lead, and generally it's difficult to account for both unless you have insane HP. Which 50 I would not consider insane. And then Shroomish, who I'm very glad didn't come out, you could attach like, I don't know, like a Toxic Orb, Flame Orb, whatever onto it with Quick Feet, and then I calced out its speed. If you run max speed Shroomish, normally its speed's 14. With Quick Feet, it's 21, which would outspeed every mon on my team, including Ghastly, and then you could just spore everything. So that would have been an absolute nightmare. I mean, its offensive stats are not really that great. I think you'd probably run it special. I guess it doesn't matter, attack and special attack both 40. But it's 60 across the board defensively, which also would be really annoying to deal with. So I'm very glad Shroomish didn't come out, because that thing would have been a nightmare. And then these bottom four, Bergmite I never expected to see. Slackoth didn't expect to see. Chingling I was surprised didn't come out. I think the main threats for it were probably, the bug moves from Anorith, the ghost moves from Ghastly, and then the dark moves from Houndour. So, I'm not super surprised to see that it didn't make it, onto the field. I am kind of surprised it didn't make it into top 6. I know it didn't really have like a great matchup into some of these mods that I tend to bring, but its defensive stats are not that bad. Also gets Levitate, not that's relevant to my team, but it also can run Light Screen Reflect. It can be another Trick Room setter in case something goes wrong with Litwick, to at least get it up on the back end. And then if you run it with like EV Light, it's super tough to take out, just like most mods when you slap an EV Light on it. But yeah, it was just, it was another good option for Trick Room, and that's why I had to consider it. And then Totodile, who I really didn't expect to see either, especially considering I have 2 water types here. I guess water is really good into Houndour, Anorith, and then, hits, aside from these 2, hits most of my team for neutral, outside of Sawara, who I have not brought and probably will not bring. Maybe, it depends on the matchup. I shouldn't speak too soon, but yeah, no, Sheer Force, I'm assuming it was Sheer Force, Totodile. It could have been like Sheer Force, Assault Vest, Waterfall was probably what I was expecting. The fact that it didn't protect at the end of game 2, and based on the damage that I dealt with, what was it, like Shadow Ball or something? I don't even remember what move I used, but that thing, like, it ate it. It chunked it to like 40%, and I'm like, what the heck? So I have a feeling this was probably Assault Vest. Unless it was just, unless I just made the correct read and it did have Protect, and he just happened to protect the Clamperl instead, thinking that I would recognize it as the bigger threat, which it was, but I knew I wouldn't be able to take it out all at once, so I wanted to focus down the Totodile and actually remove it. That way I would have numbers advantage. But yeah, Totodile was cool tech for this team. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even know it got Sheer Force. I had never really paid attention to Totodile. But thankfully I have him on my spreadsheet. And his defensive stats really aren't that bad either. He's kind of like middling across the board with 50, 64, 48 in HP defense, special defense. But then like 65 attack's really not that bad either, especially with Sheer Force. And like I did with Landorus just yesterday, you don't even have to run Life Orb on it for it to do big damage. So, if it was Assault Vest Totodile with Sheer Force, that's cool tech, and I didn't plan for it, but that's a sweet addition. So, as far as the team that I brought this week, I brought Riolu, big surprise, big surprise. But this one was Berry Juice. So I originally had Expert Belt specifically for Ice Punch to hit Starly really hard, but I still wasn't outgoing it. I think I maxed did like 80% damage to it. So I decided to go with a more, survivability type Riolu, just because, I mean, granted, if Riolu's taking a hit, with this, I invested in defense. I took a little bit at HP and added it to attack this week. In the off chance that I took like a neutral hit, anything but a Brave Bird from Starly. Hopefully I would live, Berry Juice would recover me back to full, and then especially like if I had to click Follow Me, I'd be fine. Ice Punch was strictly for Starly, and then also for the 2 ground type leads with Drillbur and Hippopotas, whose name I was forgetting, so I just had to look it up. Oh man. But just because this Ice had pretty good coverage into the team, and then also Rain Dance to switch up was also to cover for the sand, potential sand lead, but also to increase my damage on the back end for Tentacle with Muddy Water, or double my speed with Anorith, who I ran Swift Swim for this week. And then Follow Me, Standardly, and then Prankster Coaching, baby. I gotta have that. Oh man, it's so good. Again, I never intended to lead Riolu this week. It was half bait, half I was too scared to lead it because it by itself, aside from redirecting moves and getting coaching up and stuff like that, I really didn't want to run Inner Focus based on the speed tiers that I had to go against. Even though Inner Focus probably would have been fine. In case I got caught in Trick Room, which is what I was afraid of, I wanted to have Prankster Coaching so that I could at least get one of these moves off. Coaching specifically, if I had like Anorith next to it, give it a defensive buff and an offensive buff, and then just start going to town. Just because this thing's pretty tanky with Eviolite already. And then also, interestingly enough, Follow Me becomes +3 priority with Prankster. So if in the off chance I did think that Riolu was going to be an acceptable lead, or like a desperate lead in like paired with Anorith or Meditite or even Ghastly, I could theoretically redirect a Fake Out from Pichu, because Pichu also has base 60 speed, which, as we found out today, it was not running max speed, and I was on Riolu. I was running max speed, so my Follow Me would redirect Fake Out. Granted, that's hindsight, so I had to. This would have been Prankster Follow Me would have been a last-ditch effort, hoping that I won a speed tie if Pichu was max speed. So this set was interesting. I didn't end up using it just because I felt like it was too passive, and usually if I think, Ghastly or Meditite can, or even Anorith can not solo team, but like deal with, at least take like 2 for 1 by itself, then I think Riolu is a really solid lead. In this instance, his team was too dangerous for me to lead Riolu passively, so I decided against it. And then Meditite this week is a super bulky variant. I think I may have run this variant before, I don't remember, but I have EVs split between HP, defense, special defense. I'm running Impish Nature for defensive bulk. And then I originally, on my first draft of the team, had Scarf on this with the same moveset to make sure that I outspeed Pichu. With Fake Out, or if it decided not to Fake Out, that I would still outspeed everything else. This would bring its speed stat from 13 to 19, which outspeeds even Ghastly, so I could plan around this moving first and then Ghastly moving second, which would have been an interesting dynamic on the field. But I decided against using Scarf just because I hated the idea of locking myself into Fake Out turn 1 and then basically being forced to either let this go down or switch it out. And I felt like, based on the fact that Tailwind and Trick Room could be used on Mono's team, I felt like I could get away with not scarfing, assuming that Pichu would have like defensive investment instead of speed investment, and then run 36 IVs to bump myself up from 12 to 13, which Meditite also has 60 base speed, I believe. Yes, which also ties with Pichu. So this little extra speed buff here, assuming that Pichu had no investment, allowed me to outspeed outside Trick Room. while also giving me basically half an EV light, which is Assault Vest. So just on the especially defensive side, and I was worried about quite a few, especially offensive mons on the team. So. And then it also let me keep all 4 of these moves, which I wanted to run. I don't want to give up anything, so Assault Vest for me was my best option. And then Tentacool, who was meant to be the Shroomish and Shroomish. Who are my counters? What did I write down? Shroomish and Clamperl, while also dealing fantastic damage into Drillbur and Hippopotas. With Muddy Water. And then Giga Drain was specifically for Clamperl. This also would have worked with Totodile. Granted, Totodile physically is a lot stronger, and my defensive stat is not great on Tentacool. But this week, instead of running Timid with a tiny bit of defensive investment and mostly, especially offensive investment, I invested more in HP and defense with a Bold Nature, just to make sure this thing was tanky enough should I bring it out, sacrificing its speed stat from 17 to 16, which is not a huge deal when I can survive a hit. And then Safety Goggles to make sure that I can't get spored. So this is basically a true counter to Shroomish, just because like grass moves like Energy Ball or whatever are going to be neutral, and being as especially defensive as it is, just naturally, it would be a 3-hit KO, and then if it ran Sludge Bomb or whatever, which is not stab, not very effective, it's not doing any damage to me. So Ice Beam specifically for Shroomish, and then Giga Drain for Clamperl. So this was an interesting one for me to build, just because it was a lot different, very different from what I would normally run on Tentacool, because normally you want it to be kind of quick and hit decently hard, just because it has some pretty solid water and poison moves, as well as Ice Beam, Giga Drain for cover. So. And then Anorith this week is, I decided to give Eviolite to Anorith just because, 45, 50, 50, like I said, I think for a few other mons that we've seen in this format, is not really that bad defensively. It's pretty solid. And then if you stack an Eviolite on top of that, it can become difficult to deal with. Especially when I invest EVs in both defense and special defense, and then run a Careful Nature for special defense to make sure that I can eat hits regardless of what it is. The only thing I would not be able to take is a Deep Sea Tooth water move from Clamperl. So had it outsped me, I would have been dead. Again, because I didn't run Sunny Day on Riolu and instead Rain Dance for Swift Swim. If I had run Sunny Day, then I did calculus to tank a water move and also dish damage back. So, and then I just ran max attack EVs into it for 19 attack stat, which is pretty dang good. 95 attack on a mon in this format is really strong. So I ran Protect just to be safe, and then these 3 moves, 2 stabs, Rock Slide for spread, X Scissor for big bug damage, and then Aqua Jet just for priority in the instance that I ever needed it. So, yeah, this set was really strong, very, very strong. And then speaking of strong sets, Ghastly, who is again a very fast special attacker with a whopping 100 base special attack stat, which is triple digits in this format is insane. I opted not to run Protect this week. Because I had too many moves I wanted to include on it. This variant, these 3 moves are pretty well locked in, just because Grass, Ghost, and Ice basically covered every mon on the team. I originally had Thunderbolt instead of Trick Room to deal with Starly, but I would have to deal with Pichu initially before I could use it, and I felt like removing Pichu before Starly got a Tailwind up was impossible, so I decided to go against it and remove it, and went with Trick Room instead, which allowed me to completely bypass the Tailwind option, which would allow me to underspeed everything and therefore go first. But I also wanted Trick Room to reverse it in the instance that I went up against Trick Room on this team. So, very glad that I added Trick Room. This is the first week that I've actually added Trick Room onto the team. All prior weeks I did not have it. I ran Protect instead. Which, hindsight's 2020, so I feel like I could have probably used this move in the past, but it's panned out. And then Sash, just because Ghastly's not eating any hit at all, ever. this thing is gonna go down to virtually any neutral or super effective attack in one hit. So Sash is just to make it a little more durable, so it at least sticks on the field, and you have to double into it to take it out, which you know, based on prior events has been handy. And then finally, Houndour is the standard Life Orb set. Instead of Unnerve, though, I ran Flash Fire just specifically for just to be a really tough counter to Litwick, just because I can't get hit with fire moves, and then also ghost moves are resisted. So, and then just the standard Protect, Flamethrower, Dark Ball, Sucker Punch, and then I think this set is virtually the same. Timid for max speed, and then a little bit of HP investment, and then all special attack speed just to get in there and hit hard. And then, you know, Sucker Punch for priority. So that's the team. That was the team that I ran this week. It hit very hard. It hits extremely hard, you know, between the 100 base special attack on Ghastly, the 95 attack stat on Anorith, and then Metatite with pure power, virtually doubling its physical attack. I have some mons that deal stupid damage. So as long as I can protect them and keep them on the field, and make smart switches and decisions, I think like these 3 Pokemon are an extremely tough core to deal with. And then Riolu just makes it more of a nightmare with Follow Me. Houndour is I think underappreciated. It was undrafted until I picked up this team. And I think Dark Fire is an insane. I say insane. It's a very good type. The only reason Insane came to my head is because I was thinking of Incineroar, who is, you know, arguably the most used VGC Pokemon ever. And Dark Fire is a very good typing for that mon. So I've been very happy with Houndour, and it's always, you know, based on its typing and these moves with Life Orb, this thing chunks away. So even though it didn't come out this week, well, I mean, I technically brought it to both matches. One to die, and then the other one just in back. But I think Houndour went unappreciated, or underappreciated at the very least, in this format so far. But yeah, it's midnight now. I gotta get up for work in the morning, even though it's technically morning now. But I hate not getting videos up after I do this, just especially because like I usually go visit my family on Thursdays after work, so I won't have time to get this video up tomorrow unless I want to stay up tomorrow and do it when I get back. So I'll probably just do it now, which means I should hop off. So GG's to Mono. Terrifying team, very well drafted, very well played, very smart player. I mean, he smoked me in the non-Dynamax format. So I'm looking forward to future sets against him in whatever the next the format is. I think if we're doing the Daddy plan, which is the remaining mons from the non-Dynamax format, just for a second round, all the undrafted ones, I'm sure he'll come up with some fire, some heat. So I'm looking forward to those. But that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna peace out, get this up, and then call it a night. So thanks for chilling, and I'll catch you guys later. Good night.